Everybody was something. Who am I to be something? I'm hungry. I'm about to order some food. But I thought I'd come to you guys and address this email that I received. Related to sex therapy. I thought it was like a joke. I'm like, is this a prank? Am I being fucking pranked? I'm gonna order me some food first though. Cause your girl is hungry. My battery is low. Y'all just got home. So y'all know how I do. My vlogs are uncut, unfiltered, unscripted. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. I operate under my own program, not anyone else's. Everybody was looking for something. Big dreams on me. Who am I to travel the world in the 70s? Everybody was looking for something. It's a bit chilly today here in New York. Go in, go in. There you go. Go in. Alright, I want to actually burn some sage, but I think that might be doing too much. Yo. I want to burn some sage. I want to burn some Palo Santo. That might be doing a little bit too much. Alright. Clothes. How the fuck is y'all clothes, yo? This is the second time I go to this freaking restaurant here in the past few days, and they are freaking closed. What the hell? I want me some fish. God. Alright, there's another, hold on, there is another, I hope they're open. I think there is another seafood place. Where are you, seafood? Clothes? How both of y'all for? That's some black people for you, yo. That's some black nigga shit. Alright, I don't want no fucking wings. What the hell do I want? I want some freaking fish. Some fried fish. Ugh. We're gonna get into this video, you guys. After I ordered me some food. I just got home. And I'm gonna jump into this video on sex therapy. And I have to say, it's not what you guys think, okay? Someone sent me an email and I thought that I would share my perspective on it since they asked. It's not something I have been thinking about necessarily. Yo. The thing that I wanted is not open. fucking hamburger. I don't want any Thai. Italian. Do I want Italian? I don't want no freaking Italian, yo. How are they freaking closed? Yeah, I wanna hear that song, but I can't play it too loud. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to monetize this video. So let's see here. Let's see. And for the people who be like, oh, the video starts at and leave a timestamp, I end up blocking and deleting those kinds of comments just so that you guys know. Smart asses.
Agent has a small bit too.
Alright, let's see. I could order from my local bodega, from my local deli. I don't really want a chicken gyro. Even though, yo, the sloppiest food be the best, for real. But that's not what I don't know where this song came up in my mind from. It just popped up out of nowhere. My team member was asking me where I live, and I was telling her I live in Upper East Side. And then the psychiatrist on my team goes, but she has a place, she has a house on the weekends in Harlem. I thought that was hilarious. Because I'm always in Harlem, but I'm all over. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm in Lower Manhattan. Everywhere. Meatballs. Fucking meatballs. I'm having a hard time finding what I want because what I want is closed. So, fucking burrito, yo. It's like in LA. The only food options really is fucking Mexican, y'all. It's very limited. Especially when I was living in Hollywood, California. I got so tired of eating goddamn Mexican food. I'm like, come on. I had to go all the way to South Central LA just to get some soul food. Yo, that shit was so annoying, yo. Everybody's looking for something. I made a leave. not the kind of food I like. Shit sucks. I know I could just go ahead and start the video, right? By the time I fucking find me something to eat, I could have been just did the video, but no, by the time I finish the video, then I'm gonna be still hungry. I want to have some food here. Food comes first. Might as well listen to some songs while I'm waiting, huh? Why y'all have... Why do y'all fucking have my Beyonce playlist on here? Easily accessible. Why? What are you guys doing here? I find it so funny, y'all. Okay, you guys saw my video I made the other day, right? There she is. There she go. Beyonce. I'm quitting my job as a clinical psychologist. Now, of course, I didn't fucking spend 5 years in a goddamn PhD program to not be a psychologist. That's definitely not what I was suggesting. But I think I have a point to prove. And I don't like doing this, but I will do it by any means necessary. And I'm standing firm on what I said, yo. In that video. It's like, don't try to fucking play me. I am not the rest of these. They talking about, I don't like that shit. Oh, the only difference between you and the other psychologists. Okay, now is my duty to show you the difference. I'm gonna find me something to eat. What are your thoughts? While we wait, what are your thoughts on going to see a licensed sex therapist? If any at all. Maybe you haven't thought about that. I want to eat now. Do I want a burrito or do I want a quesadilla? This is easy, right? I'm just gonna go ahead and order something. Fuck it. Time to fucking sit here and go through all this shit. Shit. I like how my let's work with my team say shit. 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 It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I want a burrito. Do I want a fucking... Them burritos are so fucking conservative, y'all. Like, you take a few bites, and before you know it, it's done. Like, what the hell? I have a lot to talk about, to be honest. I mean, apart from this video that I'm about to make, I have a lot to talk about just in general. Just things have been happening. I have a reaction to something that I noticed happening on my channel. I can talk about that in a whole separate video. And sometimes I get annoyed. I get annoyed by fucking people just period. You get annoyed by people they make that Papa John shit look so good the way on a picture, right? But then when you get it, it's nothing like that. It's like false advertisement. And then I'll be like, listen, I want my fucking refund. Get my shit. Get my money back, y'all. Y'all motherfuckers try me. Alright, do I want some tortilla? Alright, one more thing to this order. And then we're about to rock and roll. Rock and roll. Proceed to checkout. Come on, what are you doing? Alright, let's see. So I want to leave a freaking $6 tip. Hell no. $3 tip. Oh, that. Because this place is literally like round the block from where I live. Why am I doing all that shit? What the hell? Adjust this tip. My delivery drivers are so grateful too. I'd be appreciating that. Alright, let's do this, y'all. Let's do this considering that my battery is not at a full 100%. I spent so much money on food delivery. It is insane. But it's like, it's just me. All the money I make goes to me. Listen, I don't have any children yet. And even when I do settle down with a partner, all the money is still gonna go to me. Oh, shit. I mean, that's how it's always been anyway. Run over that glue. Alright, let's pull up this email. Let's go ahead and do this, y'all. Let's go ahead. Take a sip of my South African red wine here. Sometimes I think about the power that I have, right? Though my desire is obviously to submit, and I've said this over and over again, like in previous videos, that I'm submissive. I'm actually a baby girl, for those who know the language in BDSM culture and lifestyle. And of course, I identify as a baby girl submissive. I'm like, that's who I am, so I know what I want. I know I like dominant men. And though it seems like dominant men clearly are more rare than beta males. There's more beta males walking around here. Clearly, I mean, look at the dynamics you see in relationships. These are some beta bitch ass motherfuckers. You can see who wear the pants. Clearly, it's not the men. When you see couples, man and woman, walking down the sidewalk hand in hand, right? That's not the case. And so I'm like, for the longest, I've craved this male, dominant, alpha male energy, but I'm like, girl, you can step in your fucking power. And let me turn this goddamn music off. Open up this. I'm like, you can really step in your power, right? And become a dominatrix. But I look at this as my thing, right? I don't like the idea of putting myself into a box, and I think, or trying to like fit a stereotype or a label. Like, that has never been me. So I think if I go around like saying, okay, this is what I am, it's going to attract some phony ass shit, right? And that's not what I'm about. But seeing that, yes, there is a part of me that does play upon power, period. Whether it's me being in my submissive role or me being in my dominant role in my professional life, right? Me being in my submissive role in my personal life, or me being in my dominant role in my professional life. Like, I like to play around with power. There's something about it. It's a dance. And I've even said this to one of the members of my treatment team. I'm like, I use it even in my therapy sessions. And he started to get a little bit excited. I'm like, hold on. Stop thinking sex. Everything for me is mental. It's psychological. And to see that, like, power is in every relationship, right? That dynamic, the power dynamic, is in every relationship. It doesn't matter what relationship, whether it's parent-child, whether it's husband-wife, or wife-wife, or husband-husband, you know, nowadays, or in boss-subordinate. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. You're going to see that there is a power dynamic. We're not talking about abuse of power. We're just talking about a dynamic, right? Where there is an exchange of power. And to know that I possess the power, the power to do anything I want, right? Like, when you reach a level of consciousness, of self-awareness, and like, when you really know who you are, you know how to like leverage your power, to utilize your power, like, you can accomplish anything in life. You can really get anything you want. The question of the matter is, and I know that this video is clearly about sex therapy, but I had to like slide this in here. You guys know that I'm more free-spirited. I'm free-flowing. So if it's something I feel moved to share, I'm going to share with you guys. And when you just think about it, it's just like, yo, I can have any fucking thing I want. We put barriers on ourselves. We put labels. We put boundaries on our own life. We put our own self in a cage. Think about that. I put my own self in my own chains, my own submissive chains. Because clearly, I mean, I talked this before, but there was a template that was already at play, that was already implanted within me, right? In my childhood growing up. I was already primed for this, to be in a submissive role. But submission aside, because like I say, all it takes is to be a great leader, is to be a father. All it takes is to be an alpha, to be dominant, is to know what it's like to live and to exist in the role of a submissive. I can literally have everything I want at my fingertips, y'all. The question is, do I want that? When I say everything at my fingertips, I'm talking about, there have been men that beg and plead for me to for me to allow them to submit to me. Submit, we're not talking about sexually, financially. They have the mind, right, of a submissive. They have been primed in so many ways, and of course, I could invite them into my world and use them to a greater cause, to a greater benefit. But I feel like this is the royalty part of me. Some will call it narcissistic, but nah. This is the integrity part of me that says, hell no. You don't even deserve me dominating you. You don't even deserve that. But anyway, let's get into this email. Now that we are 25 and 47 seconds in, right? Let's get into this. This person says, hello. Okay, so the email was sent April 7th. Not too long ago. It's not too, that's just 11 days away. It was sent April 7th. Alright, so this person says, hello. Saw you on YouTube and watched some of your videos and had some questions about sex therapy. My husband and I recently started sex therapy to improve our intimacy and explore new options. They started off good, right? So far, so good. I'm like, okay. One topic that she mentioned that can turn things on for couples is swing. She being the therapist. Is swing, wordplay, and BDSM. We are both interested. Okay, so the person who sent this email, by the way, they gave a fake name, an alias, and they gave like a fake ass email, right? So of course I can't even reply back to their ass. They're just gonna have to somehow stumble across this video. But if they're subscribed to my YouTube channel, then it shouldn't be hard to find. I have a question though. When you say that you and your husband, assuming you are female, we're going to get into the gender of the person who sent this email in a minute, but assuming you're saying your husband, if you are a traditional couple, then you are a woman, right? Could be another man though, right? Husband. Alright. But when you say we're both interested, are you saying interested in all the above, all three? In swing, wordplay, and BDSM? Says, however, our therapist suggested that we role play these in front of her. I'm like, here we go with the fantasy. Okay, you were doing pretty good until you start sharing your fantasies, because this clearly is a fantasy, right? Like, and I've said this before, like, why do y'all think I don't know any better? To me, that annoys me, because I feel like you are berating and insulting my intelligence when you throw things out there as if I don't know. I'm just oblivious to the fact, like, I don't know any better. And I'm like, anyway, so let's keep reading. However, our therapist suggested that we role play these in front of her, or she pretends to be one of us. No licensed therapist is going to suggest that. Now, not to put anything past any therapist, right? Because we know the number one ethical violation for therapists, more specifically psychologists, is sex with their patients. Disgusting. So not to put it past a licensed therapist or professional psychologist, but no fucking therapist in their right mind who gives a fuck about their license. Now, there are therapists out there who don't give two shits about their license, and oftentimes those therapists have been licensed for they've been in the game for a long time, right? So it's like they probably love what they do, and of course they like the money attached to that, right? But they have become they become wardened by the nature of the work, you know, and that happens, right? Like it's like they develop habituation to having less sensitivity to things that I would say more newly budding therapists would have, such as myself. Now, I've been in this field for many years, right? But I'm a budding psychologist, let's say. So, of course, my ethical radar is all the way beyond 10, right? It's past 10. And not even that, you know, it's just when you have a degree of morality, right? And just a good moral base, like, you don't do certain things. Set the licensure aside, right? You just don't engage in certain activities. But for some people, they feel like it's worth the risk. So they take those risks. And it becomes exciting to them. But when I read this, at this point, right, where I just stopped, like, you can see where this is heading, right? But it's clearly fantasy. This is a fantasy email. So let's keep reading. However, our therapist suggested that we role play these in front of her, or she pretends to be one of us. She explained, and this person is saying that this is the recommendation of the therapist, right? It says that the couple should try swing, wordplay, and BDSM. And I think that this is an issue that sometimes clients, they distort things that professionals say, right? So a professional, no matter who they are, it could be a medical doctor, therapist, psychologist, they may offer a suggestion or explore certain options, right? To treat a specific problem that a client may have, doesn't mean that this is what they're telling you what to do. Just because they say, okay, well, have you tried swinging, or have you tried wordplay, or have you tried certain activities within BDSM, does not mean that they're telling you you should go and do these things, right? That's up to you, right? Because what you choose to do with your body, with yourself, that's your choice. So let's make that clear. An astute therapist, a well-trained therapist is not going to give advice. Not directly. They may suggest, they may imply, and that's what they're saying that the therapist suggested, that we role play these in front of her. Like, they may explore certain things. They're not going to tell you, okay, you should go do this, right? They're not going to say it in that way. They may say, oh, have you tried X, Y, and Z? Right? Have you considered? All right, let's keep going. She pretends to be one of us. She explained that as a therapist, she is also a sex coach. Now, that is stepping outside of the realm of being a licensed therapist. Because sex therapists are licensed counselors, essentially, right? You can't use the word therapist, right? Because there's actually laws governing the use of the word therapist, or even psychologist, and even doctor. You can't just go around claiming those titles loosely and indiscriminately and irresponsibly saying that, oh, I'm a therapist, or, you know, I'm a doctor, and I'm a this, and I'm a that. Especially if you're posing as if you're licensed, right? It's another thing if you make it clear, which I have done, like, listen, I am not licensed. I'm working towards my licensure, but I am not licensed, right? Though, yes, I am a psychologist because I do have a degree in clinical psychology. And I do work. I'm hired as a psychologist at the facility where I work. But if you don't even have no fucking training in this at all, you got people that want to throw out the term, oh, I'm a doctor, or I'm a therapist, and they ain't took one lick of school, right, or training. So that's a totally different thing. But to mention that she is a sex coach, now coaches or even life coaches are under a different sphere than therapists or psychologists, right? You don't have to be licensed. There are certifications for being a life coach, but not even licensure. There's not really much oversight when it comes to that, right? Or much. There is not much. There's not people really, governing or what do you call it? Being like the gatekeepers to that particular profession as being a life coach, right? As gatekeepers for being a doctor, a psychologist or a licensed therapist. So it's like a kind of more of a free for all kind of thing. You got life coaches just out there doing and saying anything. And I don't even want to mention the name of the person that comes to mind, but there is this social media influencer with the initials KS, who goes out and on Instagram and he gives like this relationship advice, and he says he's a life coach, right? But there's not much oversight within that discipline, within that profession, right? So you got all kind of life coaches or sex coaches, which will fall under being a coach, just going out there just telling people do this, do that, trying all kind of things, and then they're operating out of not from standardized training necessarily. They're not operating from that. They're operating just off of kind of whimsical hunches or their own philosophies or ideologies. It says, I guess I am just not used to being touched or watch my husband being touched by someone else. And I get so many emails from men, so I may have referred to the writer as a he, but I'm assuming it's a woman. Let's see. It says, I guess I am just not used to being touched or watch my husband. This freaking wine is kicking in, yo. It's kicking in. Cheers. Oops. My remote. Alright, let's keep going. I guess I am just not used to being touched or watch my husband being touched by someone else. Is this normal for sex therapy or is it me? I have interest in swing. I find it weird but attractive at the same time. During some of our sessions, we found out things about ourselves I didn't know I liked. My husband is a masochist. He also likes face sitting. Masochist is a person that derives pleasure from pain. For example, such as myself, likes being beaten, right? Likes getting spanked. That's a masochist. That's just one example. There are many different examples of how people practice masochism or sadomasochism in the context of BDSM, where pain is inflicted from one person onto another person, and the recipient, the masochist, is getting pleasured by that, right? Spankings is one of them. You got people who get off on being set on fire, literally. You got people who get off on like choking, slapping. There are many different ways of receiving pain too. It can be physical pain. It can be psychological pain. Some people derive pleasure from being humiliated in front of people and being berated, being called out their name, getting their nipples clamped. Right? It's endless ways to receive pain or to inflict pain upon another person within this context here we're talking about. So the writer here is saying that their husband is a masochist. He also likes face sitting. She asks, during this session, that I sit on his chest or he sit below us. what? That I sit on his chest, or your husband sit below us being you, the wife, and your therapist? Stop it, okay? I'm only addressing this email to make it clear with the question as to, is this okay? Because that's pretty much the basis of their email. Saying that this couple started to go to sex therapy, and a lot of people, it's a misnomer when you think about it, because people automatically think that you're having sex in sex therapy, right? The therapist is teaching you basically how to fuck, and that's a very reductionistic perspective on sex therapy. That's not what sex therapy is. That's actually misleading when you think about it. It's misleading because that's not what sex therapy is. Sex therapy is a very niche type of therapy done by a licensed professional, where the couple does come with problems related to sexual dysfunction, right? So it can be related to attraction or intimacy, arousal, having an orgasm. So it's problems that they come to therapy with that relate to sex, but they have a deeper meaning than sex, or a deeper root, shall I say, than what's readily seen, as an issue between the two or three, or however many people are involved in that dynamic, but it's usually between, two people, where they have some issues with intimacy and basically being able to thoroughly become satisfied during the sexual experience. And so yes, they seek out a trained, licensed person, professional, who is able to work with them on these issues. And some things that are usually addressed is related to, that person's psychological well-being, because we know that your psychological well-being does have an impact on many different aspects of your life, and your sexual satisfaction, or your sex life will be one of those aspects that your psychological well-being can negatively impact. I made a whole video on this back when I was in LA about erectile dysfunction, right? And how that's linked to various psychological factors such as stress, or depression, but definitely stress can do it, right? It's like if you are overwhelmed with your day-to-day life, right? Usually linked to work, you're overburdened, you're stressed the hell out. It could be by that, it could be by bills, just basic life shit, right? That causes stress for us. Think about it. It's going to impact your ability to be able to be thoroughly satisfied in the bedroom. It's like, on one hand, you can have a desire, you can want to be intimate with somebody, you can want to make love with someone, but then it's just not working. It's like, I can't, I want to do this, but for some reason my body isn't functioning right? And this is a biological, this is a physiological basis for this dysfunction. I will say it can be explained in terms of a biological and physiological dysfunction, but it's linked to one's psychology. Everything is interconnected anyway, right? So psychology definitely can explain the dysfunction, and so can biology, right, and physiology. So this is the purpose of a sex therapist, given that a sex therapist, yes, is trained in many areas that psychologists, would be trained in. A sex therapist, essentially, like I said, is a licensed professional counselor, or a licensed mental health counselor, or a licensed therapist who does have training in this particular niche of work. They specialize in this, right? This is a specialty area. And so saying that the person, this therapist, is also a sex coach, so to speak, that means that it's kind of suggesting that this person can operate outside of the realm of the professional standard or professional ethics, right? Given that there's oversight, there's ethical and legal oversight when it comes to the practice of psychotherapy. licensed sex therapists are psychotherapists, essentially, right? So to give the caveat, oh, they're sex coaches, like they don't really have to operate under those terms necessarily, but then they do because they're still promoting themselves as a sex therapist or a licensed professional. So anytime that you're touting, okay, I'm I'm a licensed professional, it's like, yes, you're still being held to that same standard, though you're saying, okay, I'm a sex coach too, right? You get it? So let's keep reading. He also likes face sitting. She asked during the session that I sit on his chest or he sit below us. Like what? She wanted me to use the language that he is into, which I am not. One period she sat on him and used the language. First of all, what state are y'all in? Now I can easily search the IP address. That's really not hard. Of this email, right? To determine the location this writer is. But I'm not going to go through all that. I can easily do that though. I could, right? To see what state this person is in. That's what gets me about people who send like anonymous emails, so to speak. They think like they can't be tracked. It's not that hard to track a person. We live in the 21st century. We live in year 2022. Okay. Damn, that was quick. Hold on, my food is here. So you can tell that these delivery drivers, they was raised well by their parents, for real. You can tell. Most of them are men. A lot of Mexican men. Or Latino men. But you can tell they was raised well. Let's keep going. We're pretty much at the end of the email, by the way. She wanted me to use perfect timing, right? See, I told y'all. I'm about to tear this food up. And I got me some chocolate mousse cake, too, with it. She wanted me to use the language that he is into, which I am not. One period, she sat on him and used the language. Now, no licensed therapist is going to do this. No licensed therapist is going to do this, right? I'm going to go ahead and finish reading it. One period, she sat on him and used the language he wanted and told me to touch him. She explained we need to normalize it for sexual intercourse because it's just role-playing. Is this normal for sex therapy or coaching? I feel like this person who sent this email is playing games, number one, right? Now, if you like, this is the thing. I have made my YouTube platform, I've set aside a certain space. I'm not going to say I made the entire platform just relegated to me answering questions, because no, I vlog about different things, especially like just my life, right? It's a lifestyle vlog. Yes, but I have set aside a certain space within my YouTube channel to provide my personal reflections and response to these emails that you guys send me on various topics, especially as it relates to alternative sexual lifestyles. So, yes, I've invited you guys to send me emails sharing your personal stories or just intriguing questions that you have in your mind to ask. And I get it. You want to make things spicy, right? And you just want to kind of titillate the discussion. But at the same time, I can tell when you guys make up stories. I've already called you guys out on this many times. Like, I can tell when shit is fake, okay? This shit is a fake story. Clearly, this is a fake story. But this is an interesting topic that they want to talk about, right? So, let's talk about it for a brief moment, and then I'm about to end this video, and I'm about to enjoy my food. Now, I feel like they already have the answers to their own questions. You know, God dang on well. You know, it's not even a question as to whether or not this is normal for sex therapy. This shit is completely illegal and unethical, right? I felt like I was reading a clinical vignette, right, on an ethics exam, right? Given that I'm about to take my licensure exam, but I swear this shit sounds like a goddamn EPPP question for my licensure exam. I'm like, are you kidding me? To ask, is this normal for sex therapy or coaching? I won't even say it's normal for coaching, given that coaching has less oversight, and you know, less red tape and less gatekeepers, so to speak. I wouldn't even say this is normal for coaching. No, like, that's not what sex therapy is about. Now, it's not to say that the therapist within the context of a sex therapy wouldn't give the couple homework to practice certain role play activities, you know, just to explore and kind of push the envelope a little bit. But no. Now, the one thing what I find very interesting is that this email was mainly highlighting the recommendations of the therapist, but it talked very little about what the fuck the problem was. Notice, it's a whole big ass paragraph talking about what the therapist suggested. Going into this whole long fantasy of involving the therapist into their dynamic, right? Basically creating a triangulation of their problem, which makes for good goddamn Hollywood films. When you think about it, you just describe a whole synopsis of a Hollywood film, right? Or an idea, shall I say, for a Hollywood film, which it kind of comes to mind. What comes to mind is this film called Pandora's Box, which the thing that psychologists kind of gripe about the most when it comes to Hollywood is how Hollywood negatively portrays psychologists. It's very misleading. You look at, how psychologists are portrayed in film. It's not accurate, right? It's just like, it's misleading. You watch these Hollywood films and you think, oh, that's how psychologists are. That's the role that they play. And then you go and hire a psychologist and you find there ain't nothing like that's not how the shit go down. Not at all. But this is in the mind, like, you should know this by now, that Hollywood is exaggeration. Not to say that those films do not imitate life, right? Art does imitate life, so it has some truth to it, but it's not entirely fucking accurate. And the film that comes to mind is Pandora's Box, where basically it was a story about this this woman who basically she was a part of this scheme with her husband, and she actually got off. She played the victim at first to make it seem like it was her husband, right, that was in control and got her sucked up into this scheme to try to make money, and was robbing people and just doing dirt, right, doing crime, white collar crime, and she played as though she was an innocent person in the narrative or in the story, right? And though she was questioned by the detectives at first, she got off, and they were saying, oh, well, maybe she can see a therapist, right? And so that's where the psychologist came in. Psychologist was speaking with her, and she told the psychologist, the only way you can understand me, because the psychologist was a new psychologist and was very curious, right, and wanted to know, everything about this person and how she got sucked up into this whole world of what her husband was doing, getting money, like large amounts of money from people, right? And so she tells the psychologist, she's like, the only way you can get to know me is if you step into my world. And so and the psychologist is like, yeah, okay. And the psychologist is working with the detectives too, right? And so the psychologist is like, all right. And so she's like, basically had to enter Pandora's box. Pandora's box is basically like an underground fucking sex ring where it was like a private club, but it's a whole separate world that only people who knew, if you know, you know, right? And so she invited her into her world, and she took her to this sex club where everything goes, and what happens in Pandora's box stays in Pandora's box. And the psychologist was just doing everything that she was doing, got almost too deep into the shit. But all the truth came out in the end. You guys can go watch that film. But it's a really good film. And so I say that to say that within that film, yes, she played the role as a psychologist. It was a woman that played the role of psychologist, but that's not how how they depicted the psychologist in the film. No, psychologists about to do no bullshit like that. Now we know some dirty shit that happens behind the scenes, right? That isn't really talked about. There is some gray area, right? That happens across many different disciplines within psychology, forensic psychology, clinical, whatever. Especially forensic, where's some gray area, some tap dancing going on, and some of the things make you question, like, damn, is this fucking shit legal? Is this shit ethical? Right? But the idea, oftentimes, is that the means justify the ends. But generally speaking, hell no. The shit is... No, this is not common. No therapist is going to sit up here and have sex. And the psychologist in the movie, like, she got really, really close with this woman. Like, she was really in her world. She was having sex she was cheating on her husband. The psychologist was married. She went to this sex club that the lady who posed as a victim, but really she was the culprit, working with her husband in the film to get all his money, right? She was like money laundering with her husband. This psychologist ended up cheating on her own husband, having sex with the man that was connected to the so-called victim, right? This woman who ended up amassing all this money from the crimes that her husband was committing. So that goes to show you, it's just like, yeah, the Hollywood is fake, and you can't believe what you see on TV. Now, I don't know where you get this idea from. Maybe it's just a fantasy that you have, right? Maybe you're watching my you're watching my videos and you're saying that you saw my videos on sex therapy. I don't think I've ever made a video on sex therapy. I think this is my very first video. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that you're referencing the videos, or you saw my videos I made. Let's go back and read the beginning. But I don't think I made any videos about sex therapy. But okay, you say, saw you on YouTube and watched some of your videos and had some questions about sex therapy. Okay. I was going to say, because I never made a video on sex therapy. This is my very first video. But I have made videos related to alternative sexual lifestyles. And so, yeah, to answer your question, no. No, this shit is not. Anybody who wants to maintain their license, hell no, is not going to have sex with their patients or with their clients. That's fucking the number one big no-no. Alright? Everybody knows that. You do not sleep with your fucking patients or your clients under no circumstances at all. No. Now, I know you didn't explicitly state that your therapist suggested that, let's be clear, that she had sex with either of you, but the whole thing about sitting on and doing, that's too close. That's sexually inappropriate. It's sexual contact, so that's pretty much the same. No. That's completely unacceptable. It's unethical. No. And it could be, in many cases, illegal. So, no. But there are different ways to go about this, and I think that is, I'm going to save that for another video. I think it's more helpful, if this story was true, but we know it's not, for the writers to paint a more clear picture as to what the problem was. Because you just jump right into, oh, y'all started sex therapy, which, like I said before, it clearly distinguishes a real valid email story from one that's bullshit. Because I can tell because you guys are hyper focused on sex, right? It's not a real story. You're just here to talk about sex. So just say that. I just want to talk about sex. It's not a real issue that you have. Because where's the issue? You never, not one time in this email did you mention any issue. You just say that y'all started sex therapy and you said to improve your intimacy and explore new options. Okay, maybe that was a presenting problem, right? You have issues with intimacy, but what is the issue? You said to improve the intimacy, but what is the issue? But anyway, I am going to end this video. That I've said enough, and I've clearly answered your question. On that, I want you guys to feel free to share your comments below. I get that people are into alternative sexual activities, right, or lifestyles, and perhaps you do have a fantasy of having sex with a therapist or a psychologist, or maybe, I'm sure this is probably one of your fantasies, but ain't no goddamn psychologist in their right mind gonna agree to that. No. And that's why I think it's very funny. I laugh. Yes, I do, because y'all have this far-fetched idea that I am going to entertain you guys in a sexual way. Like I made it clear, I don't have any interest with getting with any of my viewers. Okay? Or my followers, on Facebook, on YouTube, anywhere. I don't have any interest in entertaining any of y'all in that way. I don't mind answering your questions. I don't mind interacting with you guys on this platform. That's what I'm here for. But in terms of y'all be having some weird things going off in your mind, like, oh, can I be your slave? Can I be your what do you call it, bus boy, or what the fuck, y'all? I got so many different kinds of emails. Can I be your sissy boy? And can I be your submissive? And you're dreaming, right? I say that to say that even when it comes to my life, my world outside of here on social media, I'm so guarded when it comes to who I invite into my personal space and who I allow to get to know me on that level. And at such an intimate level, right? And it goes without saying, I talked about this before, how I watched this video that talked about how women, as we climb this socioeconomic ladder, like, it's like our standards go up. Not to say I didn't already have high standards, but our tolerance for bullshit, it shrinks. It's just like, hell no. And it's just like, you know your worth. You've already knew your worth, but your worth becomes even more solidified, right? And it becomes just like, hell, you just see through all the bullshit. So if I know that I'm very restrictive in terms of who I invite into my intimate space off of social media, just in my regular life, right? Even though I'm on a dating app, I'm still so meticulous and cautious about that. I'm very picky, right? And selective, even with that, to the point where, I don't even really talk to guys like that. It's very difficult for them to even get my phone number at this point, let alone get me to respond to their initial fucking inbox message. It just doesn't, it don't work that way. So you can only imagine, like, y'all ain't got a chance. Only person from social media that got a chance, y'all, is Dr. Umar. So if you watching this, go holler at Dr. Umar and tell him, hit your girl up, like, what's going on. But anyway, I'm going to end this video. He's the only one. He's the only social media character, personality, influencer that I would give a chance. But outside of that, y'all don't stand a chance. What can you offer me? Not a damn thing. I'm sorry, but you can't. There's nothing you can offer me that I want from you. Right? And so all of this, oh, can I be your servant? That does not benefit me. You serving me doesn't benefit me. I can find a way for it to, but what you have, I don't need. Point blank, period. Period. The new phrase is not period, it's pyramid, boo. Pyramid, okay? Okay? Pyramid. Alright, I'm out, you guys. I'm about to enjoy my dinner and the rest of this evening. I do want to come back and do a follow-up on this whole idea of me quitting my job as a clinical psychologist. It's not that I'm turning my back on the field of psychology. Hell no. I don't think I would ever. But, yeah, I'm definitely rethinking some things. Things that I've already thought about. It's nothing new. I've already thought about this. It's just sometimes the universe answers your questions that you've already had without you even having to ask the universe. Sometimes, like, I even have to say, okay, what should I do? Should I stay or should I? It's like the universe is just, here's what you should do, right? And I just follow the universe. It make life choices so clear. Sometimes choices in life, you're stuck. You're like, damn. Should I stay working here? Should I continue this? Should I do this? Should I do that? And then, don't you just love it when the universe just makes it so clear? It's just like the universe is saying, hell to the fuck no. But on another note, drop your comments below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And I hope you guys were able to learn something from this video. And your question should have been answered. If not, then I don't know what to tell you. I think that a man sent that email though, posing as a woman, but catch y'all later.